We will give praise, glory, and honor to the Most High, Yahuwah of hosts, by way of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. And we'll get this show on the road at John, the 5th chapter, in the 39th verse. Search the scriptures,
so I wouldn't get hungry.
For in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of the Most High in you. So that's what we sitting back looking at. You know, a lot of people, you know, I was talking to Lil Muffin about this before we got ready to roll. You know, a lot of people don't want to sit back and acknowledge that they actually hate God. Just the same way how some people actually don't like to acknowledge that they love to do wrong and hate to do right. You understand what I'm saying? Well, let's turn around and let's look at something. Let's go over here to Leviticus chapter 20, I want to say. Make sure I pick the right one of what I want. Hold on, Leviticus 20 ain't what I wanted. Before we do that, go over here to Deuteronomy chapter 6. Deuteronomy 6 and 10. Deuteronomy 6 and 10. Deuteronomy 6 and 10. And it says, and it shall be when Yah thy Elohim shall have brought thee into the land which he sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give thee great and goodly cities which thou build not, and a house full of all good things which thou fill not, and wells dig which thou dig not, and vineyards and olive trees which thou plant not, when thou shalt have eaten and been full. Then beware lest thou forget Yahuwah, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Where did he say he brought you forth from? He said he brought you out the prison house. Now I also want y'all to sit back and notice something that he said, that he said in the verse before that. What did you catch in the verse before that? The verses before that, leading up to that. Did y'all catch anything?
The house full of good things, and the house really not well. It gave you everything to provide all for you.
Mm-hmm. But did y'all notice that he said, though, you got a house that had a lot of good things in it. You didn't fill it up. Got wells dig, you ain't dig them. Got a vineyard and an olive tree, and you didn't plant it. We'll come back to that, though. He said, thou shalt fear Yah thy Elohim, and serve him, and shalt swear by his name. You shall not go after other powers of the people which are round about you. For Yah thy Elohim is a jealous Elohim among you, lest the anger of Yah thy Elohim be kindled against thee, and he destroy thee from off the face of the earth. Don't y'all know that's a serious thing right there? This man sit back and say, man, don't you be going after other powers. Don't be doing what you want to do, serving what you want to serve. Because he say, boy, if you do that, I'm going to destroy you from off the face of the earth. Now let's come back and I want you to look at something in Deuteronomy 8 and 14 before we come back and look at Leviticus. When Lizzie had the baby from. She ain't got the baby from no more. Deuteronomy 8 and 14. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and read 10 because we just going to reiterate. Matter of fact, make it verse 9. We just going to reiterate. Make it 7. We just going to reiterate some of the things that's in there. Just going to reiterate it. For Yah thy Elohim bring thee into a good land, a land of brooks, of water, of fountains and depths that spring out of the valleys and hills. A land of wheat and barley and vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of oil, olive, and honey, a land where thou shalt eat bread without scarceness. Thou shalt not lack anything in it. A land whose stones are iron and whose out of hills thou may dig brass. When thou art eaten and art full, then shalt thou bless Yah thy power for the good land which he hath given thee. Beware that thou forget not Yah thy power, and not keeping his commandments and his statutes, his judgments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. Lest when thou hast eaten and art full, and hast built goodly houses and dwelt therein, and when thy herds and thy flocks multiply, and thy silver and thy gold is multiplied, and all that thou hast is multiplied, then thy heart be lifted up, and thou forget Yah thy power, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage, who led thee through that great and terrible wilderness, wherein were fiery serpents and scorpions, and drought, where there was no water, who brought thee forth water out of the rock of flint, who fed thee in the wilderness with manna, which thy fathers knew not, that he might humble thee, and that he might prove thee, to do thee good in the latter end. Again, he reiterating the fact, you got all this stuff. You got all this stuff after he freed you. So you know how many people, when they get out of prison, they would love to have somebody who had something ready for them when they got out. You know what I'm saying? You know, most people get out of prison, they ain't got nothing. You know what I'm saying? Ain't even got no help. Most time dudes don't even look for nobody to give them nothing. Just give me some help. You know what I'm saying? They don't even got that. You got out of prison, that man say everything you needed, you got it. Let's go back to Leviticus 29.
Wow.
And let's just look at some of the things that's in Leviticus 20. We'll jump around. We're not going to read everything. We'll look at verse 2. And we're going to sit back and we're going to look at, son, what he told you not to do when you got out of prison. Because now he's about to tell you a few things. Don't do this when you get out of prison. He said, again, thou shalt say to the children of Yasharal, whosoever he be of the children of Yasharal, of the sojourners that sojourn in Yasharal, that give any of his seed unto Molech, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. I will set my face against that man and will cut him off from among his people, because he has given his seed unto Molech to defile my sanctuary and to profane my Kodesh name. Do you know what that means about giving your seed to Molech? Any of y'all know what that is? Any of y'all know what that is? They sacrifice kids in the fire. You remember not too long ago, you had niggas doing that then. They say the silly niggas setting themselves on fire. You know something got to be wrong with you setting yourself on fire. But he say if you offer your child to Molech, this man say you have defiled my house. Okay, let's look at Philippians 3. Do I got to go in my bag? Because I don't think it's in here. Could you slide that backpack over here to me, please? Y'all just hold on. Philippians about 3 and about 15. We got to go to thank you. We got to go to Corey's favorite verse. When Corey threw away his ice cream. Corey told y'all about that time he threw away his ice cream. He didn't tell you about that time he threw away his ice cream. He said that was the God of his belly. Listen, you amped up, ain't you? What is that? That's that donut. Lizzie on that donut juice. We done gave her that donut crack. She going hard. So we look at Philippians 3 and about verse 15. He said, let us therefore, as many as be perfect, be thus minded. And if anything you be otherwise minded, the Most High shall reveal even this unto you. Nevertheless, whereto we have already attained, let us walk by the same rule, and let us mind the same thing. Before I even get to that, you notice how he say, let us mind the same thing, have the same rule? Let's look at Jeremiah 32 and verse 39 real fast. (32) and about 39. But I'll look at 37. Jeremiah 32 and 37. Listen to what he say. Behold, I will gather them out of all countries whither I have driven them in my anger and in my fury and in my great wrath. And I will bring them again unto this place, and I will cause them to dwell safely. Now hold on. Before we even look at that, hold Jeremiah 32 and Philippians chapter 3. Look at Deuteronomy 28 and 68. This is how these niggas on the street corner, this is how they love to get you into the word, ain't it? They're the first thing they like to come hit you with. We finna look at it right now, though. (28 and 68). Deuteronomy. Most of y'all should already know what it say. And Yahuwah shall bring thee into Mizraim, or Egypt, again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there you shall be bought, sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. So if we come back and we drop down about verse 44. Make it about verse 45. He says, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed. Because thou hearken not unto the voice of Yah thy Elohim to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Because thou serve not Yah thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which Yah shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Don't you realize when you go to prison, boy, you dependent on the people for everything? Don't y'all realize when you go in there, you know what them people tell you? You know what them people tell you when you go to prison? Or when you go to jail, you know what they tell you? Yeah, I mean, they tell you state property, but then they sit around, they tell you that we your parents now.
You ain't got no fists here, Camp 8.
You know what I'm saying? So any of y'all that said, how many of y'all on this phone ever been incarcerated for an extended period of time? When I say an extended period of time, 30 days or longer.
Need no fence here.
Who on here been incarcerated for 30 days or longer? Huh? You know what I'm saying? Now, how many of y'all done heard this statement before? They say if you won't raise them, the state will. Any of y'all ever heard that before? So y'all don't sit back and realize when you go to prison, don't they give you clothes? Don't they give you food? Don't they put a yoke of iron on your neck? Sometimes they don't put it on the neck, but they sure put it on your ankles and your feet though.
Hey, stop.
You know what I'm saying? And then he say when you in there, their whole purpose is to destroy you. That's their whole purpose, is to destroy you. Destroy you mentally. Destroy you spiritually. Maybe even to destroy you physically. Everything you need, you got to get it from the state. You want to visit, you got to go to the state. I know in the state of Florida, you can't even call. You can't pick up a phone and just call who you want to call. In the state of Florida, you got to submit a phone list. And you got to put the phone numbers on the phone list, and the classification officer must approve the phone numbers on your list. If they don't approve them numbers, that person, you cannot call that person. See, I know a lot of y'all think, oh, you locked up, you can just pick the phone up and call anybody you want, don't you? But you know I couldn't call, none of y'all could. Ain't no calling no cell phones. Because them people want a landline in the state of Florida. They might have done changed the rules by now, though, since I've been out. You know, yeah, a lot of them boys got cell phones in it, though. Some boys got cell phones in it. Oh, I know how they doing it, because my homeboy was in prison with a cell phone.
All right, let's see exactly what we want you to get. Drop it again, huh?
Yeah, come on over here then.
Ain't no call. I'm dead serious. Nigga, drop it again, huh?
I didn't drop it. It slid off here.
Nigga, please. You are not touching the field.
No, I put it right here.
Drop it again, huh?
Mm-hmm. You can't whoop me, buddy.
I ain't got to whip it. No, I'm talking about drop it again, huh? Your phone privilege over. Vote.
You know what I'm saying?
You hear me?
Man, look here, man. That ain't. You think I'm gonna cry?
let you know, nigga.
You know what I'm saying?
Just going throw it out there.
You know
You ain't gonna buy a new phone. I'm gonna have to buy one.
Oh, I buy another
Who's that
phone.
Atlanta, nigga?
I ain't bought me another phone because I don't want one.
I hear you.
That's how I go. Because that phone, that's done. That nigga got cracks all in the bite. They say that iPhone ain't nothing but glass. I don't know where mine went. It's around here somewhere. Oh, here it go. Hold on. All that done crack.
You real quick then?
Huh? No.
I don't know. I ain't trying to have my wife on looking like that. You out here dropping all willy-nilly.
I don't know where the nigga. This thing was damaged before I got him, though.
Drop it again, man.
Hey, this nigga's a fool. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, that gold at that time. This nigga done came up with a theme song. I'm talking about, boy, that nigga done came up with a 60s soul song. Boy, I can't mess with you, man. Go sit down, Stanks. So when we sit back and we look at it, right, it say it warn of all things. But you know how humiliating that is, man, to be shackled up like a live animal. That's the most horrible feeling in the world, man. That's the same thing we experienced when we came over here. And he said you would be destroyed and sold to your enemy for bondmen and bondwomen. Do you not know that in the 13th Amendment, it say the only punishment that slavery is unlawful except for the punishment of a crime? You know what I'm saying? See, come back over here to Romans 13. So that's what the whole purpose are you sitting back looking at? Or Romans 12, actually. Live. That's enough. I'm sorry, Romans 13 is what I wanted. 13 and 1. Go sit down, Leah. Say, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of the Most High. The powers that be are ordained of the Most High. Whosoever therefore resists the power, resists the ordinance of the Most High. And they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not terror to good works, but to evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is the minister of the Most High to thee for good. But if thou shalt do that which is evil, be afraid, for he bear not the sword in vain, for he is a minister of the Most High, a revenger to execute wrath upon them that do evil. When you sit back and look at it, the prison system is only there technically for them that do evil. Because we know this place is crooked. They lock anybody up. You ain't got to be did nothing wrong. Does that mean every nigga in prison is innocent? No, because you know you go, some of y'all ain't never been locked up before. You be locked up, you let them niggas tell everybody innocent. You know what I'm saying? I tell a nigga I'm innocent because nigga jump on your case. You know what I'm saying? Nigga, you be going in there talking about what you in there for, bro. And you in there running your mouth, told them too much. Them people got on that phone, called the state attorney's office talking about I got some information on the murder. Nigga jump right on your case and you go into court and that nigga talking about, yeah, see, he told me. See, one day we was in the cell, right? And he told me how he did it. Because nigga be trying to get that time cut off. But in actuality, though, that's what the people there for. Now, I put the picture, I done told y'all this before, you know, the police forces was originally started to catch slaves. You know what I'm saying? And truth be told, prisons were nothing but quote unquote lawful plantations. That was the way for them to catch black men and put you back into slavery. Because America built on free labor now. America built on free labor now. America couldn't even be able to function without free labor. They wouldn't be able to function without free labor. You know, these white folks don't want to work for nothing. We'd rather make you niggas do it. You know what I'm saying? One way or another, make you niggas do it. You know what I'm saying? But the whole purpose of what they there for is to lock you up for doing wrong. This is the very same thing he just said in the law, didn't it? That he will use these people to lock you up for doing wrong to them. So let me show you something in Psalm 17 about verse 14. See, we got to sit back and look at what got us in trouble before we even come back to Leviticus. Because then we kill looking at Philippians chapter 3. (17 and 12) actually. He said, like a lion that is greedy of his prey, and as were a young lion lurking in secret places. Arise, O Yahuwah, disappoint him, cast him down. Deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. You know what I'm saying? All right, y'all. Hey. You know what I'm saying? And we looking at this for a reason. The reason being because it was our disobedience that got us brought back into captivity. It wasn't disobedience that got us put into Egypt, the first place. Sin did not get us put there. But our disobedience is what got us relocked up. When we turn around and you look at it, you were granted freedom, but you neglected that freedom because what you wanted to do was more important. Let's go back to Philippians chapter 3. We stopped at about verse 15. We come back to, hold on, let's finish this Jeremiah 32. We finish that first. Lizzie finna pull a food caper. We in verse 38.
Lizzie, go back there tomorrow.
He says, I'm going to read it again. Behold, I will gather them out of all the countries where I have driven them in my anger, and in my fury and my great wrath. I will bring them again unto this place, and I will cause them to dwell safely. So we don't sit back and look at the same way we got freedom to come into the land coming out of Egypt. He said he's going to do it again. Listen what he say though. And they shall be my people, and I will be their power. I will give them one heart and one way, that they may fear me forever, for the good of them and of their children after them. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them, that I will not turn away from to do them good, but I will put my fear in their hearts, and they shall not depart from me. So let's come back to Philippians now, and let's read verse 15 again. He said, I'll give them one heart and one way. See, you know what a lot of y'all problem is? You trying to go 30 different ways. Everybody got to go the same way. And you know what that same way is? Ain't but one way to the Father. That's Yahushua HaMashiach. You can't get in. If you try to climb up any other way, you know what you are? A thief and a robber. You know what I'm saying? You try to climb up any other way, you's a thief and a robber. You got to come in by the way of Kodesh, just like we were talking about last week. You're going to have to go through the King's Highway, buddy. And if you're going through the King's Highway, that means all that fancy stuff that your emotions and your lust might be told at, all the nice looking vineyards and nice looking wells and all that stuff that look nice like, you're going to have to walk past it. Read verse 15 again. Let us therefore, as many as be perfect, be thus minded. If anything ye be otherwise minded, the Most High shall reveal even this unto you. Nevertheless, whereunto we have already attained, let us walk by the same rule. Let us mind the same thing. See, come back and look at Leviticus 24 and 22. He said, all of us that have already attained, right? Let us walk by the same rule. When we look in Leviticus, we were sitting back in Leviticus 24 and 22. We coming back to Philippians chapter 3. We were seeking to come into the land. And he said they got to have the same rule. He said those that have already attained. And it said, you shall have one manner of law as well for the stranger as for one of your own country. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. I mean, that's one rule. That's for all those that already attained. If you seeking to come after and attain the blessings of the Most High, well, all y'all got to be doing the same thing. There's no free agents. There's no, well, they doing this, I'm going to do me over here. You're going to go to hell too. Let's look at Acts chapter 2 to back that up. You just know you're going to hell. You think you're going to be out to the side doing what you want to do. Just know you're going to hell. The only thing that individual is saving your soul. And if you come with old lame excuse talking about you got to separate yourself from people to save your soul, you a mentally weak individual. That means you ain't got no self-control. I've been around plenty of niggas I don't like. I know how to control myself though. Can't nobody push me and press me to do something. And that's go for all of y'all. Can't nobody push you and press you to do nothing. If you did that, that's how you wanted to react. You didn't have to react like that. You wanted to react like that because you couldn't control yourself. That's what's wrong with people out here. You can't control yourself. You can't control yourself. So you got to come up with an excuse. Got no business. How you going to sit back? It's like this here. You don't cut off your hands and your toes away from the rest of your body. Come on back to Philippians chapter 3. I'm sorry, let me read this Acts 2. Acts 2 and 44. And all that believed were together and had all things common, and sold their possessions and goods and parted them to all men as every man had need. And they, continuing daily with one accord in the temple, breaking bread from house to house, did eat their meat with gladness and singleness of heart, praising Elohim and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to the body daily such as should be saved. See, they were one accord. They were on one accord. It wasn't no we all believe, but I'm going to be over here doing this because I want to be over here doing my own thing. Now we also now, because I know some of y'all ain't got good sense. Now we know some of y'all got families, you know what I'm talking about? And you got jobs, and that don't preclude everybody being around each other every day. But it come the point is that you can't sit back and say, I'm not going to deal with this person, or I'm not going to talk with this person, or I'm not going to go over here with this person. You is a nigga. You know what I'm saying? You is a nigga. You know what I'm saying? It don't work that way. Come on back to Philippians chapter 3. We'll read verse 17 again. When we read verse 17, we won't read verse 16 again, I'm sorry. Brethren, be followers together of me, and mark them which walk so as ye have us for an ensample. For many walk, of whom I've told you often, and I tell you even weeping, that they are enemies of the cross of Hamashiach, whose end is destruction, whose power is their belly, whose glory is in their shame, and who mind earthly things. You know, that's what got Israel all messed up. Because we minded the earthly things, we minded the things that the nations had and the things that the nations were doing, and we went and followed after them because we minded the lust of our flesh. We didn't want to suffer. See, come back to Leviticus chapter 20, because he was sitting back telling you not to do certain things. Don't be around here sacrificing yourself to other powers. That's when you sit back and realize it. When you stubborn and you do what you want to do, and you do your own way and you do your own thing, you stubborn, that's your God, that's whom you serve. You sacrifice yourself to him, therefore you profane his sanctuary. Matter of fact, hold what you got. Let's give 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 15, back that up. You defile the man's sanctuary. You make his name common. No. Verse 13, 1 Corinthians 6 and 13. Y'all all right this evening? 1 Corinthians 6 and 13. Meats for the belly and belly for the meat. But the Most High shall destroy both it and them. Now the body, it is not for fornication, but for the Lord, and the Lord for the body. Elohim have raised up the Lord, and will also raise us up by his own power. Know ye not that your bodies are the members of Hamashiach? Shall I then take the members of Hamashiach and make them the members of a harlot? Most High forbid. What? Know ye not that he which is joined to a harlot is one body? For two, saith he, shall be one flesh. But he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit. Now he just said, you'll defile my sanctuary if you offer your children to Molech. Well, he's sitting there talking about you're going to be defiling the Mashiach if you offer yourself to Molech by going after and doing what you want to do. Y'all hear me? Come on back to Leviticus chapter 20. Because he said he's going to set his face against him. Look at verse 4 of the same chapter. He said, if the people of the land do anywise hide their eyes from the man, which give up his seed unto Molech, and kill him not, then I will set my face against that man and against his family, and will cut him off, and all that go a-whoring after him to commit whoredom with Molech from among their people. The soul that turn after such has familiar spirits, even after wizards, to going a-whoring after them. I will even set my face against that soul, and will cut him off from among his people. So you know what that means? Because y'all already know this here, but that means, guess what? No Washington Wizards, no Orlando Magic, not even no Washington Mystic. Y'all know what a Mystic is. I know most of y'all don't watch WNBA basketball. Do you watch WNBA basketball? Any of y'all watch WNBA basketball?
Yeah.
Well, don't watch the Washington Mystics, because we don't go after wizards and warlocks. That means any television shows with witches, any movies with witches. You don't do it. If you was coming out of jail, so you got to understand something. He telling us not to do this because you coming out of prison. See, hold what you got. Come back to Exodus chapter, let me see, about verse chapter 6, and let's see that. It might be 7. Because we were coming out of prison. When we were coming out of prison, they did this stuff. Find the verse that I want where they name them specifically. Hold on, give me a second. Give me a second to find the one I wanted. Y'all got to understand it. Here we go. Exodus chapter 7, probably about verse 9. Make it 8. And y'all spake unto Moses and to Aaron. And when Pharaoh spake unto you, saying, show a miracle for you, then thou shalt say to Aaron, take thy rod and cast it before Pharaoh, and it shall become a serpent. And Moses and Aaron went into Pharaoh, and they did so as Yah commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. Then Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers, now the magicians of Egypt. They also did in the manner of their enchantments, for they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents. But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. What you think this means? These rods become serpents, but Aaron's rod swallowed them all up. What y'all think that could mean?
That's symbolism for the Most High God, throwing down all their gods.
Not only just throwing down all their gods, right? But he said his rod swallowed up all the serpents, right?
Right.
Look, come over here to 1 Corinthians chapter 15 while we hold Leviticus 20. But don't you see that we were in jail dealing with people who dealt with magicians? So guess what that means? That's why you think he's telling you when you get out of jail, don't you bring that stuff up out of here with you. 1 Corinthians 15 and 55. We'll read that there and then come over here to Romans chapter 7 to back it on up. Leah and Lizzie, hold the noise down. Or somebody's getting put in the oven.
No.
We used to do that with Little Muffin, but when she was little, but she actually enjoyed it. as if she was gonna actually go in the oven or flush it down the toilet. She used to laugh. The new muffins don't like it.
Okay.
Give me about verse 54. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. But thanks be to Elohim, which give us victory through our Lord, Yahushua HaMashiach. Remember, what's Aaron? What is Aaron's job title? And he throws down a rod, right? And don't Isaiah chapter 11 tell you a rod shall come out of where? And one rod swallowed up all the serpents. And how was Satan? What is Satan described as? And what did he have power over? And what did that rod of Hamashiach, what did he end up doing? Swallowing up death and victory. Swallowed up all their rods. He swallowed, this showing you how this man was coming to swallow up death, to give you that freedom, as according to John chapter 8, right? If you continue in my word, you're my disciples indeed, and the truth will do what? You sit back and look at it. The truth set them free, because if they believe what y'all said and put that blood over the doorpost, they got out. They got out. They got an EOS day. They did a 430-year bid in that place. A 430-year bid. Why you think he had to turn around and tell him, man, all that magic stuff y'all seen for them 430 years, man, you out of jail now. Don't you bring that stuff here with you, man. Y'all stop. Come back to Leviticus chapter 20. Why isn't that picture at that desk Leah sitting there looking like somebody's grandma? That one right there. Y'all see that there? Y'all notice that, and I've had this conversation with people over the years. Y'all do notice that majority of these laws that are in here, he's telling us not to do these things because while we were locked up, the people we were locked up with were doing them. Y'all hear me? Now you would sit back and look at it. When you in prison, man, niggas be doing all type of stuff in prison. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes niggas get involved with stuff what niggas be doing in prison. I myself, I didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? I remember right before I left the county, old dudes say, boy, you finna go up the road, young blood, because see, they put armbands on you in our county. Blue is if you ain't caught no time. You know what I'm saying? If you get yellow, you got county time. And if it's orange, you going up the road. You know what I'm saying? So when the old dude seen me with the orange wristband on, he know I'm going up the road. You know what I'm saying? He was like, young blood. He said, let me tell you something. He said, man, I'm going to tell you how you going to be able to survive in that, man. He said, don't mess with no punks. I said, well, you ain't got to worry about that, because that's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, don't gamble and don't get on that basketball court. He was like, if you don't do these three things, you're going to be all right. Because, boy, that basketball court, boy, I done seen some niggas get damaged behind that basketball court. You know what I'm saying? That basketball court is something serious. And it ain't because you just in prison. It's because niggas' pride. Remember I used to tell Nell that all the time, that men playing against men is not the same with women playing against women. Women don't get as competitive as men do. You know what I'm saying? Boy, a man don't want to lose. And any man on this phone who's ever played a game of basketball on the street, and it's a one-point game, niggas go to calling all type of Bo Ricker calls. You know what I'm saying? If any of y'all been on this phone and played basketball, the nigga kept fouling you and you got mad because you felt like he was doing it on purpose, and you had in your mind, if he foul you one more time, I'm going to punch him in his mouth. I've seen this on the street, not just in prison. I've seen this on the street. You know what I'm saying? It's real serious. Because see, the book of Proverbs tell you about the 22nd. Look at the book of Proverbs 22 and 24. Hold Leviticus 20. And after we read the book of Proverbs 22 and 24, we come back and look at Deuteronomy 7 and 1. And then 2 Corinthians chapter 6 and about verse 13. Listen what he's saying. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man thou shalt not go, lest thou learn his ways and get a snare to thy soul. Now come on around here to Deuteronomy 7. See, this man said, don't you make no friends with no angry man, because then you'll become one. See, if you go to hanging with sinners, guess what you're going to become? Why you think people always use that terminology, if you want to be a millionaire, hang with millionaires and all that type of stuff? Because the type of mind frame that you going to exhibit is who the people you surround yourself with. That's why the book said, I give them one heart and one way. He said, those that be perfect, let us be like-minded and walk by the same rule. Because if all us doing the same thing, there should be some manner of compatibility. You know what I'm saying? Now, don't get me wrong. I know everybody might not necessarily enjoy everybody's company. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's not going to enjoy everybody's company. Some people can only take certain people in small doses. You know what I'm saying? That's just being honest. Sometimes you have to sit back and look at your personality and the type of stuff you do to where if somebody would only want to take you in small doses. You know what I'm saying? Because I know me. I'm a hard nigga. You know what I'm saying? And I always been this way, though. You know what I'm saying? I ain't no different. When you see me, what you see, that's what you get. Other than maturation process of dealing with the word, I'm talking about my core principles of how I am is pretty much the same way I've been since I was like 12, 13 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like really fully real rounded. Even we could go back further than that. I'm talking about 5, 6, 7 years old. I'm fundamentally still the same exact individual that I've always been. The only difference is I serve God now. That's the only difference. It ain't no changing. It's not you gonna see me Monday and I act this particular way and you see me Wednesday. It's the same. You know what I'm saying? It's the same. Ain't no changing. See, some of y'all niggas act a certain way when certain people around. You know what I'm saying? That ain't never been my flavor, because the reason being, because I ain't never cared if a nigga like me or not. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never been hard up to make no friends, man. And if a nigga don't want to be my friend, it's his loss. It's her loss. You know what I'm saying? Niggas sit back. You know, a lot of dudes don't like take rejection from a woman. If a nigga tried to holler at a woman and she said no, nigga looked at it like this here. That's her loss. She didn't know what she was losing. That's because I had confidence in myself. You know what I'm saying? But you got to have that type of confidence in yourself, the way you won't be swayed and your whole view of yourself won't be dictated by how outside people view you. Therefore, you won't have no need to try to act a particular way around certain people, because you want certain people to view you in a particular fashion. That's why you need to sit your black behind down somewhere. Deuteronomy 7:1. He say, when Yah thy Elohim shall bring thee into the land whither thou go to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. When Yahuwah thy Elohim shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son, for they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other powers. So will the anger of Yahuwah be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. He told you don't mess with them unless you learn their ways, didn't he? You know, a lot of dudes warn dudes about that when they go to prison. Be careful, boy. You don't want to learn none of that stuff in there. You know what I'm saying? I know Goldie know what I'm talking about. I know a lot of y'all don't know, because thank the Lord, y'all ain't never been in that horrible situation and circumstance. You know what I'm saying? Because a nigga don't talk about it as if it's something to be proud of. They talk about it so you might be wise enough to understand certain things. Because certain things from the street and in prison, it go right along with this word. You know what I'm saying? It go right along with it. Because, man, it's nothing but life skills. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. And when you turn around and you look at some of the things that you see in that place, that man told you, man, don't you make no friends with these people unless you learn that stuff, man. It be a snap to you. Because you know what happened when you learn that stuff? You take it with you. You know what I'm saying? And then he was trying to tell him, don't you bring that stuff in here with you. 2 Corinthians 6 and 13. That's what a lot of y'all do. You bring that stuff with you. Make it 14. 2 Corinthians 6 and 14. Little Lizzie. Come here, Lizzie. Come here, Lizzie. Pardon me for a moment, y'all. Come here, Lizzie. Now you sit down. You hear me? Or I'm going to take your binky. You won't get it back. You gonna sit down? Now go. That nigga snatched that binky back. So you won't take that. All right, hold on. Come on, hold on, y'all. Come on, Stanks. Go sit down. So you ain't gonna leave me out, buddy. Oh, hold on. I need you to pin because it hung up.
Oh, 14.
What made you choose that number?
It used to be my school lunch number.
In kindergarten? And you remember that?
Yeah.
So I know you mine.
Welcome. Just heard it. You entered there are 14 participants in this conference. Please announce yourselves.
All right, 2 Corinthians 6 and 14. It dropped the call, but we back rolling. And it says, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship have righteousness with unrighteousness, and what communion have light with darkness, and what concord have a Mashiach with Belial, or what part have he that believe with the infidel? And what agreement have the temple of the Most High with idols? For you are the temple of the living Elohim, and as Elohim have said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their power, and they shall be my people. Wherefore, come out from among them and be ye separate, saith Yah, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and you shall be my sons and daughters, saith Yahuwah Almighty. This man just sat back and told you, why don't you come out from among them and be clean and be separate? How you gonna get out of prison? How you gonna get out of jail and do the same stuff niggas in jail were doing? But you free now. If you coming up out of, remember now, y'all already know that us coming out of Egypt is a similitude to us coming out of sin. So how you coming out of the flesh and out of the bondage of the elements of the world? Remember we looked at that the other day? I think we need to look at it again then to make sure. Still hold Leviticus 20. Come back over here to Galatians. Galatians 4 and 3. I got a lot of things in my mind I want to look at. It's almost 9. I don't want to take too long. We at the 47 minute mark. He says, even so, when we were children, we were in bondage under the elements of the world. But when the fullness of time was come, the Most High sent forth his Son, made of a woman, made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law, that we might receive the adoption of sons. And because ye are sons, the Most High have sent forth the Spirit of his Son into your heart, saying, Abba, Father. Therefore thou art no more a servant, but a son, and a son then an heir of the Most High through Hamashiach. You see what he said? You're no longer a servant, but a son. Because remember what Romans 6 and 16 say, whoever you lend your members to obey, you are a servant to that. Well, guess what? We were, see, come back over here to Exodus chapter 1. You got to sit back and look at what we were. When he was bringing us out of Egypt, it was to make us sons, to make us heirs to an inheritance. You understand what I'm telling you? That means you were coming out of jail. Man, don't be coming out of jail with that stupid stuff you were doing. I think I want Exodus 1 and 13. No, I don't want 1 and 13. Exodus 2 and 23. Oh, I'm sorry, I did want Exodus 1 and 13. I was looking in chapter 1. My apologies. I mean chapter 2. I did want 1. I said it right the first time. 1 and 11. Exodus 1 and 11. My apologies. I'm looking in chapter 2 when I wanted chapter 1. Called chapter 1, but looking in chapter 2. Listen. Just grab the chair and pull it forward and place your little bum in it. Therefore, matter of fact, let's just look at verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Mizraim, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Yasharal are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and it come to pass that when there fall out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Yasharal. And the Egyptians made the children of Yasharal to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, and in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. Remember, we just talked about serving with rigor, right? That's hard. That's ruling over them hard. But we know Hamashiach came to do what? Make our burden light, like we looked at last week. But you notice that he said they made them to do all manner of service, which means what? We were servants. You know what I'm saying? We were second-class people to them. Don't that sound familiar to y'all? Servants and second-class people. What that sound like to y'all? Sound like the same thing we doing here. It sounds like everything that we do, they make us to do it to serve with rigor, right? Why you think they made crack and they made AIDS and they did all these things they did? Because they were worrying about us multiplying and joining with their enemies. Why you think they did the certain things they did against Muhammad Ali in the 60s when he said Viet Cong ain't never called me nigga? Because the last thing they wanted you to do was have a united. They wanted you to be united against whoever they enemies with. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all understand what I'm saying? See, a lot of y'all too young to know about that. Whoever America enemies with, they want black people to be solid with them. Because they don't never want you to sit back and say if the Taliban get crunk up, you're going to fight with them. If ISIS get crunk up, you're going to fight with them, which we know ISIS, the Taliban. You know how full of crap these people is. They don't even talk about Al-Qaeda no more. When they seen Al-Qaeda couldn't scare you no more, they gave you ISIS. Now they got you scared of them. Niggas say, where was these people 15, 20 years ago? And the worst part is they named themselves after the Queen of Heaven. We ain't stupid. We know you idol worshipers. We ain't stupid. We know what you're doing. You sit back and you look at it, right? He sent forth that lamb without blemish, right? And that blood of that lamb brought us out from being servants to become the sons of the Most High, right? He said, Yasharal is my firstborn, right? Now we know that's talking about a Mashiach on a spiritual level, but you sitting back looking at it, he said, this is my son, let him go, so they can serve me, so they can be heirs. See, we didn't read Deuteronomy 7. They were coming out to do what? To receive the inheritance of the land. Where we was at for this here? Come on back, Leviticus 20. Even when you hearing some of these things we read in Leviticus 20, all this stuff ain't just sitting back looking at to show you whatever you did when you were under the bondage of the elements of the world. Because we sitting back looking at that magicianry, that sacrificing to other gods, all that other type of stuff. That's what was going on while we were in bondage of the elements of Egypt, of the elements of Mizraim, when we were locked up in that place. All that stuff was on us. You know what I'm saying? But now when we get delivered from that situation to be freed from that prison, you don't need to be bringing this stuff with you. If you was a hoe, you need to leave that stuff in Egypt. If you was a liar, you need to leave that stuff in Egypt. If you were envious and jealous and spiteful and covetous, you need to leave that stuff in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? You was idolater, you stubborn, you rebellious, you need to leave that stuff in Egypt. This is what this really is about. If you was a bulldagger, if you was a pillow biter, you need to leave that stuff in Egypt. You was a whoremonger, a fornicator, need to leave that stuff in Egypt. Leave that stuff in prison. Don't bring that stuff in the free world with you. Take it over there to her. Thank you. I appreciate that, Elizabeth. Verse 7, listen to what he said. In Leviticus 20, sanctify yourselves, therefore, be ye Kodesh, for I am Yahuwah, your power. Didn't we just read that in 2 Corinthians chapter 6? That means you need to set yourself apart once you get free. Listen what he said, you shall keep my statutes and do them. I am Yahuwah, which sanctify you. Now let's look at some of the things which he say. We ain't going to read all of them. We just going to look at it some more. That man said if you curse your mom and your daddy, you ought to be killed. That man said if you curse your mom and your daddy, you ought to be killed. You around here disrespecting your people. I wouldn't care if your people are sinner or not. You around here disrespecting your people, you ought to go to hell. That man said your blood ought to be on you. Listen, next thing he said, if you commit adultery with another man's wife, you ought to be killed. Listen what the next thing the man say. If you lie with your daddy's wife, you ought to be killed. If you lie with your daughter-in-law, you ought to be killed. If you lie with a boy, if you lie with a boy and you a boy, you ought to be killed. That man said if you take a wife and her, if you take a woman and her mama, say they ought to burn you with fire. That there be no wickedness among you. You know how many nasty bastards out here around here sleeping with a girl and her mama? This is what he say. If you lie with a beast, you ought to be put to death and kill the beast. You know how many nasty niggas out here having sex with animals talking about it's my body. And we got to kill that dog and you. These women out here letting horses go up in them. These dudes having sex with sheep and chickens. Now we got to kill the sheep. The sheep ain't did nothing. We got to kill this nigga because you done put your penis in it. But guess what? All this stuff we mentioning, black people do this stuff. Don't think white people just do this stuff because these nasty hypocrites over here do it too. Then what he say? If your woman approach unto a beast and lie down, kill the woman and the beast. He said if a man take his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter, it's a wicked thing, cut him off. And if a man lie with a woman having a sickness and shall uncover her nakedness and discover her fountain, and she have uncovered the fountain of her blood, kill them both. That mean, guess what? Ain't no around here, a nigga have sex with a woman on a pier, a nasty nigga anyway. How many of y'all gonna say you done did that? How many of y'all ain't ashamed to say you did it? I know out of all of y'all, we rolled the dice, boy. One of y'all done it. You's a nasty nigga if you did. I don't see how you could have did. That period blood stank. Listen what else he say. That man said if you take a man take his brother's wife, you ought to be killed. Man say you gonna be childless. Look at verse 22, because this is what we came here for. This is what we came here for. This is what we came here for. That man even said if a man lay with his uncle's wife, they gonna bear their sin, they gonna die childless. If a man uncover the nakedness of his mama's sister or his father's sister, they gonna bear, you know what that mean if you gonna bear your iniquity, right? You gonna pay, you gonna die in that sin. Look at verse 22. He said, you shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my judgments and do them, that the land whither I bring you to dwell therein spew you not out. And you shall not walk in the manner of the nations which I cast out before you. For they committed all these things, therefore I abhorred them. That means that man said I hated them. You see what he told you? That man said, if you come in my house and do all that stuff you did in prison, I'm going to kick you out of here just like I kicked them out. And we already read the curses, and you already know since we sitting here, that means we came out of prison and did all that stuff when we got free. Look at Joshua chapter 24. But it ain't even just the specific things that you looked at. It ain't just those. It's the fact of how you coming out of bondage, the bondage of sin, and you still doing the stuff you did when you were locked up. I told y'all, when I mentioned to y'all about the game being played of grabbing your ankle, it wasn't the issue of the playing the game. You brought something from prison on the street. You know what I'm saying? You brought something that you seen or learned or did in there, and you brought it in the free world. You know what I'm saying? That's not good. That's not good. Because that's the first sign of a weak-minded individual, or institutionalized, or you became comfortable in that environment. You know what I'm saying? You can never get complacent and comfortable in prison. That is horrible. Same way you can't get comfortable and complacent here in America. See, our forefathers didn't really know Yahuwah. They didn't know Yah. When they were in Egypt, they didn't know him. They may have not understood why they were in the position that they were in. They might have heard of things of Yah, Yah this, Yah that. I don't really know who it is. I don't know much about him. But we're not in that situation right now. Right now, we're currently in prison, waiting our EOS date, waiting to be released. How you gonna turn around and get out of jail and do the same stuff you were doing when you were in jail? That's why you say when we were under the bondage of the elements of the world. That means when I was locked up, these are the things that I did. But once this man came to set me free, I no longer did them things I was doing in prison. Because I know if I get out of prison and do the same things on the street I did in prison, I'm going back. I said Joshua 24, about verse 14. Make it 12. I'm gonna make it 10. I'll make it about 9. Make it 7. Listen what he say. And when they cried unto Yahuwah, he put darkness between you and the Egyptians, and brought the sea upon them and covered them. And your eyes have seen what I've done in Mizraim, and you have dwelt in this wilderness a long season. Now he talking about when they chased us up out of Egypt. He said, I put darkness between you and them. I blinded their eyes. That sound familiar to y'all? I put some darkness on the people and drowned them. Because you know he caused it to go dark on the people in the day of Hamashiach's death. You know what I'm saying? And them people perished in their unbelief. He said, if you don't believe that I am he, you will die in your sins. Listen, what else he say? And I brought you into the land of the Amorites, which dwelt on the other side of Jordan. They fought with you, and I gave them into your hand that you might possess their land, and I destroyed them from before you. Then Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab, arose and war against Yasharal, and sent and called Balaam, the son of Beor, to curse you. But I would not hearken unto Balaam, therefore he blessed you still, so I delivered you out of his hand. And you went over Jordan and came unto Jericho, and the men of Jericho fought against you, the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, and I delivered them into your hand. And I sent the hornet before you, which drave them out from before you, even the 2 kings of the Amorites, but not with thy sword, nor with thy bow. I've given you a land which you did not labor, in cities which you built not, and ye dwell in them. Of vineyards and olive yards, which you planted not, do you eat. Listen what, I'm going to keep reading. You see how this is the 3rd time we done read that? We're going to look at it. This man say, you got a city which you didn't build. You got houses which you didn't build, and you got a vineyard of which you did not plant. I'm going to show y'all what that means. What y'all think that means? Wells you didn't dig, a city you didn't build, a land you didn't work for, vineyards and olive yards which you did not plant. That's what it sounds like, don't it? Well, let's see what it is. Hold on now. He say, now therefore fear Yahuwah and serve him in sincerity and truth, and put away the gods which your father served on the other side of the flood and in Egypt, and serve ye Yahuwah. And if it seem evil unto you to serve Yahuwah, choose this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your father served that were on the other side of the flood, or the God of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve Yahuwah. And the people answered and said, Elohim forbid that we should forsake Yahuwah to serve other powers. For Yahuwah our Elohim, he it is that brought us up and our fathers out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage, which did those great signs in our sight, and preserved us in all the way wherein we went, and all the people through whom we passed. You know what he sat back and told them? Because they were getting ready to come into the land, right? You know what? Us going in the wilderness, you know what that's kind of like? It's kind of like a halfway house. Y'all know what a halfway house is? When you get yourself together before they actually let you out. You know, your sentence ain't complete, but we're trying to get you acclimated to being free. You know what I'm saying? When we came in the wilderness, we supposed to have been it was kind of like a work release. But see, let's look at Hebrews chapter 3 and let's see what we did with that work release. Because I'm using this as an analogy to look at. Egypt is prison, the wilderness is the halfway house, and the land is the free world. That man told you in Exodus chapter 20, he say, fear not, for Yah has come to prove you whether you would sin or whether you would keep his commandments or not. Because when you get in the halfway house, they trying to see if you're going to be obedient or not. Because if you're stupid, they'll send you back to the main penitentiary and let you finish your sentence out there. Well, we know we wasn't going back to Egypt. Because matter of fact, I'm going to show you in another place when it come to Egypt. I'm going to show you another place when it come to that. We finna look into Hebrews chapter 3 and about verse 14. I'm sorry, we're going to look at Hebrews chapter 3 about verse 7. And after we look at Hebrews chapter 3 about verse 7, I want you to get Isaiah chapter 30, and we come right back around here to John chapter 8. Y'all hear me? Y'all with me? Y'all feel what I'm talking about? Do you understand what I'm trying to express to you? What I'm trying to express to you is, if you coming out of the world, if you coming out of bondage through the grace and mercy of Yahushua HaMashiach, why are you still doing the stuff you did while you was in prison? He says that all those that are in Hamashiach are a new creature and old things are passed away. When you come up out of prison, you shouldn't be on the street thinking and doing the same junk you did before you left. Now I know this here because I was talking to T about this here the other day. Most people don't know a lot of people who got out of prison and changed their life. I know a few. I went to prison. I've been out of prison 6 years. Ain't came close to going by. I don't know how long it's been since Golden did his last bit, but I know he's been free for a long time.
Long time, brother.
You know what I'm saying? Fat Boy done got out of prison. Ain't going by. I'm talking about, and of course, you talking about people who deal with the word. I know people who don't deal with the word. You know what I'm saying? That when they got out of prison, they might have went 2-3 times or whatever the case may be. But when they hit that one bit, they were like, no, this it. I ain't going by it. I know dudes like y'all been out 15, 20 years. You know what I'm saying? I ain't been by it. But it comes down to that resolution in your mind of saying that this particular behavior that was causing me to get this, I'm no longer going to be engaged with that. You know what I'm saying? See, like I say, man, selling dope wasn't something that I wanted to do. Because the cases that I caught, I wasn't locked up for an extended period of time. You know what I'm saying? The longest period I was locked up for was 6 months. You know what I'm saying? You talking about, get locked up, get out, you know what I'm saying? Case get dropped. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, okay, I'm in a spot, the vice rushed the trap. You know what I'm saying? Nigga sitting there for 2 weeks, they drop the charge, you get out. You know what I'm saying? You're locked up for a month, you get out. You know what I'm saying? You sit back looking at, you know what I'm saying? That's a little short bid. But when you talking about, oh boy, I gotta go do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. You know what I'm talking about? You go to looking like this here. Boy, I ain't going back. I ain't doing that again. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being dead real with you. Niggas sit back looking at, I can't subject myself to this type of living. You know what I'm saying? Then you turn around and you see nigga, boy, I'm dead serious with you. This true story. I was locked up with a dude in the county. Nigga could rap. The nigga called his time before I did. I ran across him when I first got to prison. The nigga got out while I was still in prison and came back to prison. I hadn't even got out yet. When I seen the nigga again, I say, boy, then you get out. Boy, I caught another case, caught another 6. I say, boy, they blessed you with the 18 months. The nigga was looking at 30 years on a cell chart. They dropped him. He got 18 months, got out on the street, did the same thing again, and they blessed him again. They only gave him like 6 or 8 years. But I'm tripping on the fact is, nigga, how you in here on your second bid and I ain't finished my first one? Nigga, you been in here twice. Man, I was at Jefferson CI with a dude that caught 13 months. Man, he was in there, did the bid, caught another case, came right back. They sent him right back to the same prison he left from. Like, dude, how you come back for a nigga finish they bid? That's sad. You got right back out there on them streets with the same mentality and went out there and did the same thing and got the same result. Now y'all saying you serve y'all and you coming out the world and you coming out of sin and you gonna come in the freedom of Yahushua HaMashiach and do the same things you did when you were locked up? Do you not see why y'all was so wroth with our forefathers? Because you know what I delivered you from? You know what I showed you? I brought you out of prison and you turn around and do the same thing? Hebrew 3 and 7. I know I called for what? It'll come to my mind. I know I want John. There we go. Isaiah 30 and I want John 8 and 11. He said, wherefore, as the Ruach HaKodesh saith, today if you will hear his voice, harden not your hearts as in the provocation in the days of temptation in the wilderness. When your fathers tempted me and proved me and saw my work 40 years. Wherefore I was grieved with that generation and said, they do always err in their heart. They have not known my ways. So I swear in my wrath, they shall not enter into my rest. You know what I'm saying? You know what that came into? When they came in, it's like this here, when you go to work release, right? Then people give you, you know what I'm saying? You got a little freedom. But you still got rules, you got a structure. Even in a halfway house. Halfway house and work release, kind of the same thing, but they're not the same thing. You got halfway houses on the federal level. Some states have halfway houses, most don't. You know what I'm saying? Halfway houses to give you that transition of going in the street. Work release, the same thing. You transitioning back into society. But they tell you if you don't follow these rules, there's certain consequences and repercussions. Because we know if you can't follow these rules in this transitional period, you're definitely not going to follow them when you get out of here. You know what I'm saying? And see, that's what y'all was looking at. I'm bringing you in this transitional period in this wilderness to see who going to do what I say. Who going to follow my rules and regulations which I set up. And if you don't follow them, I can't let you in here. Because you're going to defile my house. Isaiah chapter 30. Well, Lizzie surely does have a distinct laugh on her now, doesn't she? I gotta make sure I pick the right thing because Isaiah 30 might not be what I want. But y'all understand what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? How many of y'all feel like, boy, you've been teetering on the edge of being free and being in prison? You know what I'm saying? You teetering on that edge. That's why I tell you, see, Corey and Troy know I was talking to him about this yesterday. When I was asking them, why you think I mentioned that? And you know what I'm saying? Niggas thinking, it was just like this here or trying to be funny. But I be wanting you to catch stuff because they realize when I said it that I kept reiterating the fact of you got out of prison doing this. You know what I'm saying? Don't get out of prison doing this. Don't get out of jail doing the same stuff that you did while you was in jail. Because it's the reason why I mentioned it is because of this. Reason being is this. Because when you bring negative behaviors with you, when you do it, you know what I'm saying? They're going to fester and they're going to follow you. Because that means you really didn't learn anything from that situation. Again, like I said, you got acclimated to it. You know what I'm saying? And eventually it's going to cause your destruction. See, it wasn't really about that particular thing. Because, look here, man. I know niggas that mess with boys in prison. And I know they got out on the street and were messing with boys. You know what I'm saying? I know niggas who got out of prison, who didn't smoke before they went. They started smoking, drinking coffee. Now they still doing it. Now they got a lifelong habit that could be destructive. Not the coffee, but the smoking. Niggas go to prison and get hooked on drugs that they might have not even been using on the street. Because it's just as much drugs in prison as it is on the street. You know what I'm saying? Niggas go to prison and start running with a group of niggas and start extorting people and robbing people. You know what I'm saying? Putting their hands on people that they might not did that before they went, but they bring that behavior with them upon their release. It's all manner of stuff that niggas pick up and they bring it with them. That's why I say don't make friends with an angry person. You know what I'm saying? Because it could be a snare to your soul. You can learn that. That's why I say don't be unequally yoked with unbelievers. Why would I fool with you? See, y'all got the mind frame of you can be close-knit with certain people and their behavior won't rub off on you because you think you strong. That ain't gonna happen to me. But if I've told you this once, I'll tell you again. If it happened to King Solomon and before Yahushua HaMashiach came on the earth, he was the wisest man to ever live, what makes it think it won't happen to you? And if you think it won't happen to you and you steady say that, you know you ought to go to hell because you say you greater than Solomon. And we know that's a lie. You know what I'm saying? See, I'm already gonna know if I feel like nigga doing certain. I know a nigga can't influence me to do nothing I don't want to do. But boy, if you hang around niggas doing something too much, all it takes is one moment of weakness and you get got. You know, it's a lot of niggas say they wouldn't smoke weed or snort cocaine, but they were around niggas so much that they went ahead and did it. And that one moment, all you gotta do is be going through something one day. You know what I'm saying? That's all it takes. One moment of weakness ruin your whole life. And you know where that come through? Because of a feeling. Because I felt this way today. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing even before the word. Nigga ain't never hear me around here talking about, and I still don't know why grown men talking about they in their feelings. I really think that's a very feminine thing to say, but that's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. I ain't never felt like I'm in my feelings. All the type of stuff. Man, I'm a man. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you, that's why I seem hard and cold when I say certain stuff, because I have a business-like approach with everything. You know what I'm saying? There's no emotion or I'm thinking this or thinking that or doing this or doing that. It's always business because I'm always sitting back strategically trying to put together how can I accentuate a point of what I'm trying to show somebody, or how I can do this here. Or if you come and tell me something, or if you come and ask me something, it's gonna be man, ain't gonna be no, I'm not gonna spare your feelings. You know what I'm saying? Your feelings means absolutely nothing to me. You know what I'm saying? You ask me something and you want the truth, I could care less if you start boo-hoo crying right there. That's not gonna affect what I say to you, not one second. I'm not gonna be moved by it. Oh, you crying though, hey man. Better get your snot right. You know what I'm saying? I ain't moved by it. That's what being sober-minded really is about. You know what I'm saying? See, the Lord was not moved by none of that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't moved by none of that. All that crying and boo-hooing and all that type of stuff. That's why he say, don't you know I must be about my Father's business? I'm sober-minded. I got business to do. That's why he say that which is born of the Spirit is spirit, that which is flesh is flesh. Those that are Hamashiachs have crucified the affections and lust thereof. They're not ruled by them. They have a sober mind, a clear, business-like, professional, conservative objective. You know what I'm saying? Grave. Niggas wanted, man, that nigga serious all the time. Man, lighten up. Like this here. Yeah, I'm serious all the time. It's not no joke out here, man. I can joke and play this, that, and the other. I'm dead real about mine. My sister know that. I always been like that. You know what I'm saying? I can clown all day long. But when it come down to business, man, I'm not playing, man. It's definitely serious. It's definitely serious. A lot of reason why y'all don't get nowhere. Y'all don't take stuff definitely serious. Everything is a game to y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's a joke. It's for play. You know what I'm saying? You don't have a business-like approach. You know what I'm talking about? Stuff ain't business for you. It's just something to do. You know what I'm saying? You know, when you're dealing with business, man, you got to be 3-4 moves ahead. You got to see stuff before it happens. You got to be able to know how to read people, how to deal with people. I'm only mentioning all this because you know this leading up. I told you how the Lord is a businessman, right? I'm going to show y'all that now. The greatest businessman ever lived. I'm going to sit back and show you how he the greatest businessman ever lived with all this other stuff we were mentioning. How this man has stuff set up for his workers and they ain't do nothing for it. Already has stuff in play. Let's look at Isaiah 30 though. About verse 1. He said, woe to the rebellious children, saith Yah, that take counsel, but not of me, that cover with the covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Because you know what y'all told us to do? Never go back that way again, didn't he? He told us we would never go back into Egypt. Don't go down that way. Don't you never go back. Y'all familiar with that story? Y'all familiar with that? Who ain't familiar with it? I'll take that everybody is. He told us not to go back into Egypt, right? That's the same way he telling you not to go back into sin, right? Look at John 8 and 11. Make sure 8 and 11 what I want. Make it 9. Make it 7. They be back there really amusing themselves, don't they? Who go to hard? And Lizzie go to hardest, don't they? Yeah. I know she do. And when they continued asking him, he lifted up himself and said unto them, he that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone at her. And again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. And when they which heard it, being convicted by their own conscience, went out one by one, beginning at the eldest, even unto the last, and Yahushua was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst. And when Yahushua had lifted up himself and said, saw none but the woman, he said unto her, woman, where are those thine accusers? Have no man condemned thee? She said, no man, Lord. Yahushua said unto her, and neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. Now, you know what he did right here? You worthy of death, right? Because you was in bondage. You've been locked up in the cables of sin, right? But you see what he told her? Go be free. Go be free. Because we know what John 8 say, right? He that continue in my word is my disciples indeed. And what's going to set you free? The truth. And we know 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16 say, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. There is freedom. Don't y'all realize when the Spirit of Yah was with them, bringing them from out of Egypt into the wilderness, the Spirit of Yah was with them to give them freedom? Don't you know Zechariah 4 and 6 say, not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit, say Yahuwah of hosts. Then we just read it, what by no bow or no sword that brought you out, right? Don't you realize this time back when you were saved and delivered from your sin and the bondage of death? Wasn't nothing by nothing you did. Strictly by the grace of Elohim. That's all it was. Grace of the Most High. Don't Ephesians chapter 2 tell you that? By grace ye are saved. Ain't that what it say? So it wasn't by your bows, right? It wasn't by your sword. It wasn't by your spirit. It wasn't by your might. It wasn't by your power. It was by Yahuwah of hosts. It was by your maker. Now, if this man done brought you out of prison, because you already read in Joshua 24, that man say that what you did in Egypt, leave that stuff there. What you did in prison, leave that stuff behind. You understand what I'm telling you? Leave that stuff behind. Don't bring that stuff with you. Don't bring that stuff with you. Now you coming into the Lord, you bringing this stuff with you. You getting out of prison. You know what a lot of dudes do when they get out of prison? What y'all think a lot of dudes do on the day they get out of prison? You know what a lot of dudes do? All they property, all the zoom zooms and wham whams, or the sneakers and all that stuff they had, you know what they do with it? Give it away and leave it with a nigga in there. You know what I'm saying? They don't bring none of that stuff up. You know, I done seen niggas leave up out of there with their shoes. Take their snacks up out of there. I done seen dudes, if they get out the county, they'll take the clothes off they had on and burn them. You know what I'm saying? Or throw them away. They don't want nothing to do with them. Anything that doesn't touch that type of bondage, they want to leave it there. You know what I'm saying? I don't want nothing to do with that. I'm going to leave that behind. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason for that when you see dudes like, man, I ain't bringing nothing that I had in here out with me. That's why he told that woman, go and sin no more. All this stuff you had with you, now that the grace of the Most High has appeared to free you, leave that stuff down. You understand what I'm saying? Leave that stuff there. Don't bring that into the free world with you. I want y'all to look at something in Galatians chapter 4. When we finish looking at Galatians chapter 4, I'm explaining to you about them wells that you didn't dig, and that city which you didn't build, and the vineyards and olive yards which you did not plant. Galatians chapter 4 and verse 22. I got to get ready to wind this down. It's already 9:30. I'm going to have to speed it up, and maybe, Lord, we'll come back another day and go into it in detail. For it is written that Abraham had two sons, the one by a bondmaid, the other by a free woman. But he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh. But he of the free woman was by promise, which things are allegory, for these are the two covenants, the one from Mount Sinai which gendered the bondage, which is Agar. For Agar is Mount Sinai and Arabia, an answer to Jerusalem, which now is and is in bondage with her children. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. For it is written, rejoice thou barren that bear not, and break forth and cry thou that travail not. For the desolate have many more children than she which have a husband. Now we, brethren, are as Isaac was, are the children of promise. But as then he that was born of the flesh persecuted him that was born of after the spirit, even so it is now. Nevertheless, what saith the scripture? Cast out the bondwoman and her son, for the son of the bondwoman shall not be heir with the son of the free woman. So then, brethren, we are not children of the bondwoman, but of the free. He say that the allegory is the two promises, one that is Agar and one that is Jerusalem, which is above. Do y'all know what that could mean? Y'all know what that first, see, I'm going to show you something. Hebrews 10 and 1. Hebrews 10 and 1. For the law, having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of them things, can never with those sacrifices which they offered year by year continually make the comers thereunto perfect. For then would they have not ceased to have been offered, because the worshippers once purged should have no more conscience of sins. But in those sacrifices there is a remembrance again made of sins every year. For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sins. Do you not realize, don't it say in about Acts 13, about verse 37 or 38, somewhere in there, how he say that you are justified through Hamashiach, through the things which you couldn't be justified in by the law of Moses? Don't it say that in there? Well, let's look at 2 Corinthians chapter 3, and let's look at what Paul say. Because he say Jerusalem, which is above, is free. He say, see, we like Isaac, we the children after the promise. See, what this is referring to is one covenant had life to it and one covenant had bondage. One covenant did not allow you to be free because it was never intended to make you free. 2 Corinthians 3 and about verse 7. I'll read 6. He said, who have also made us able ministers of a new testament, Not of the letter, but of the spirit. For the letter kill, but the spirit give life. But if the ministration of death, written and engraven in stone, were glorious, so that the children of Yasharal could not steadfastly behold the face of Moshe, for the glory of his countenance, which glory was to be done away. How shall not the ministration of the Spirit be rather glorious? For if the ministration of condemnation be glory, much more doth the ministration of righteousness exceed in glory. Do y'all not understand, son? Didn't he make a promise to Ishmael, even though he was a child of bondage, a child of the flesh? Didn't he promise him he'll be great things and be a king and rule and all that he would be glorious too? But yet you see Isaac, the child of the promise, which gendered unto life, had a promise that the seed of Abraham would be called through him, and that a covenant would be made, and the savior or deliverer of all mankind would come through that. And that he would be the free child. Because you know what Mashiach say? He say the servant shall not dwell in the house, but the son shall dwell forever. I put you out. Because we know that goes back to Ishmael and Isaac. Well, now you turn around and you see the same thing as we turn when we look at the old and the new covenant. Because Jerusalem, which was in bondage, is that Daniel chapter 9. You got to rebuild the cities and make an end for sin and make reconciliation and anoint the most Kodesh. But Jerusalem, which is above, which is free, is New Jerusalem coming down from heaven, which is a city which you did not build. Look at John chapter 14 and verse 1. John 14 and 1. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in the Most High, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you, I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also. Now I'm going to go back. Now, you ain't got to go get it. I'm going to go back and I'm going to look in Deuteronomy chapter 6. And I'm going to look in Deuteronomy chapter 8. Hey there, little buddy. And it says that this man said, I gave you houses full of good things. You didn't fill these houses. I gave you some wells that would dig. You didn't dig them. Vineyards and olive trees, which are planted, which you didn't plant, that you could be able to eat and be full. Same thing he told you again in the 8th chapter. Say, got you goodly houses and dwelt therein. Then when we look in Joshua 24, what did he say? I'm going to read it again. Gave you a land which you didn't work for, a city which you didn't build, and vineyards and olive yards which you didn't plant. Let's look at Genesis chapter 3 about a land which you didn't labor for. Now, after we look at Genesis chapter 3, we come around here back to the book of John. I want to say about the 11th chapter. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say the 5th chapter and the 17th, 16th verse. Let's look at it, right? He said, you finna get a land you didn't labor for. Didn't you already read that he sent forth his son, made under the law, made under a woman, that you might become sons, that you might become an heir? Genesis 3 and 17. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and eaten of the tree which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake, and sorrow thou shalt eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face thou shalt eat bread till thou return unto the ground. For out of it thou was taken, for dust thou art, and dust thou shalt return. So Adam got to labor in this land, right? He got to work for it, right? He got to work in it, right? Well, let's look at John chapter 5, about verse 16, right? And after that, we look at John chapter 9 and about verse 1. I did want y'all to hear something what the Lord said. John 5 and 16. And therefore did the Yahudim persecute Yahusha and sought to slay him, because he had done these things on the Sabbath day. But Yahusha answered them, my Father worked hitherto, and I work. Well, let's look at John chapter 9 and verse 1, and let's see something that he said. And as Yahushua passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth. And the disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Yahushua answered, Neither have this man sinned nor his parents, but that the works of the Most High should be made manifest in him. I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night come when no man can work. So that means he came to labor then. He came to perform a work. Well, what did this work that this man come to perform, what was it going to do? Well, let's look at Luke chapter 1 and verse 67, and let's see what would have been accomplished from this work. Luke chapter 1, verse 67. And his father Zacharias was filled with the Ruach HaKodesh and prophesied, saying, Blessed be Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal, for he has visited and redeemed his people, and have raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, as he spake by the mouth of his Kodesh prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us, to perform the mercy promised to our fathers, and to remember his Kodesh covenant, the oath which he sware to our father Abraham. Now let's look at Acts chapter 1 and about verse 8. So if you sitting back to get a land which you didn't labor for, what work did you do to get us back to the land? After that, get Jeremiah chapter 30. What work did you do to get back to the land? What work did you do to make the covenant of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov to be able to stand? Because we violated it, did we not? And he put us out. But this will take you back to when we dealt with that 2 Samuel 14. He devised a means to bring his banished back. I got to devise a means for my people to get this land which they didn't work for. You didn't work to get Yasharal back. Yahushua did, though. Same thing all over again. No, hung up on him.
You entered. There are 17 participants in this conference. Please announce yourselves.
All right. It hung up on you. Verse 6, Acts 1. When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore the kingdom to Yasharal? And he said unto them, It is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath put in his own power. Do you see what they asked him? What did they just ask him? What did they just ask him?
When the end comes.
They just asked him, will he give them back the land? We were under Roman occupation. They say, will you restore the kingdom back? See, they understood something new. All that labor with a Mashiach did. Remember how we looked at him walking through the land? And even sending his disciples through the land to walk it, he told them to go through all the land too. You got to remember that. Didn't Yahshua, son of Nun, didn't he send them men out in the land to describe it?
No.
Don't you see Yahushua HaMashiach sending his apostles into the land, telling them to describe it? Now you turn around and see that all that labor which that man wrought was for you to get an inheritance which you did not labor for. What did you do to get the land of Yasharal back? What did your ancestors do to get it? It was only because of a covenant made by Yah with our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The only reason why you able to get back in the land now is not because of any labor or work that you did, but because of Yahushua HaMashiach. He the reason you can get, you didn't labor for that land. What work did you do to get it? That's why he say, I got to do work while, he say, while it's day, I got to work. If I don't do this work, I can't get the land. You understand what I'm saying? I can't get it. But if I do the work, I can get it. So then when you look at houses, which you didn't build, look at 2 Corinthians chapter 5. Because he said, my father's house, there's many mansions. So let's look at 2 Corinthians chapter 5. Verse 1. Let's see if you built your house. Because we know Isaiah 66:1 say, that Yahuwah don't dwell in temples made with hand. And he said, you the temple of the Most High from 2 Corinthians chapter 6, which we read. Well, how you the temple of the Most High then? Let's look and see. For we know if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of Elohim, a house not made with hand, eternal in the heavens. For this we groan, earnestly desiring to be clothed upon with a house which is from heaven. If so be that being clothed, we shall not be found naked. For we that are in this tabernacle do groan, being burdened. Don't you realize that our people were in Egypt in an earthly house, and they groaned because of their burdens and their taskmasters? See, we didn't read what the people groaned did, though, did we? But y'all know from past times the people groaned, didn't they? Y'all do remember that, right?
That's right.
They groan because of that. Say, we groan being burdened. Say, we are of this time. We were of that house. Remember, he called it the house of bondage, the tabernacle of sin, this earthly body. We groaned because of it, because we were burdened, which goes back to what we looked at last week. My yoke is easy, my burden is light. Look what else he say. For we that are in this tabernacle do groan, being burdened, not for that we would be unclothed, but clothed upon, that mortality might be swallowed up alive. Just like you seen Aaron Rod swallowing up them serpents. Because they had the spirit of Yah with them. They had life. It was swallowing up them mortal beings and all that junk they were pulling. See, Aaron had freedom with him. You know what I'm saying? Where the spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Got to get free, people. You got to get free. The man said, the man done, ain't this son? This man done opened up the prison gates. So let me show you something what Peter did when he got out of jail. Acts chapter 5. I'm sorry, Acts chapter 6. Is this chapter 6? I'm sorry, Acts chapter 5 was what I want. I said it right the first time. Acts 5 and about 17. Then the high priest rose up, and all they that were with him, which is a sect of the Sadducees, and were filled with indignation. And they laid their hand on the apostles and put them in the common prison. But the angel of the Lord by night opened the prison doors and brought them forth and said, Go and stand and speak in the temple to the people all the words of this life. And when they heard that, they entered into the temple early in the morning and taught. But the high priest came, and they that were with him, and called the council together, and all the senate of the children of Yasharal, and sent to the prison to have them brought. But when the officers came, they found them not in the prison, and returned and told, saying, The prison truly found we shut with all safety, and the keeper standing without before the doors. But when we opened, we found no man within. That's the same way them people turned back around and looked to come for us when we came up out of Egypt. When none of us left there. We all got up out of there. See, they got out of prison and they continued on with doing the work. Ain't no sense of going back and doing none of the junk you see in prison. That's the same thing when Peter got locked up. When they said, I think that's Acts chapter 12. That's Acts chapter 12 when Peter got locked up. They got up out of prison. You heard what he said? Go speak to the people. All these words of this life. You can sit back and look at it when you in bondage, so to speak, and you come up out of that place, you ought to be coming back dealing with the words of life. Because you got to sit back and look at it. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and are life. That's what Hamashiach told us. That's what the Lord told us. See, our ancestors didn't realize that the words that the Father was speaking to them, even in Exodus and in Leviticus and in Deuteronomy, they were spirit and they are life, but they couldn't hear it because they were too concerned with the bondage of where they came from. See, they loved being in prison. That's why when they were in the halfway house in the wilderness, they were saying we had cucumber leeks and melon. You brought us out here to die. It's this, it's that, it's all this other stuff because they were institutionalized. We liked it there. You think you don't think some of our people gonna be like that when it's time to leave up out of here? I like jail. You see niggas who when they finna get you gonna see niggas when they get ready to get out, they do something to stay in there. Or as soon as they get out, they do something to go right back. They liked it in there. It was safety and comfort of having these people to supply you with food, clothing, and in want of all things. Everything you need, they got it.
I had a partner that once he got out, a month later, he talking about he ready to go back home.
Nigga crazy. But guess what though? We turned around and we didn't look at it as we wanted our taskmaster, our oppressor to give us all these things when all we had to do was look at our maker, our power, our Elohim, our God. He was willing to give us all those things too. When we were hungry, I give you manna. When you were naked, I'll give you the Ruach HaKodesh. When you were thirsty, I give you my spirit to drink. Whatever you want, I got it. Just follow me. Just get free. I set you free. Just follow me. We didn't want to do that though. So now we look at another thing, right? So now we see the house that you didn't build is the Ruach HaKodesh. It's that immortality from heaven. You didn't build that. You should know what the vineyard is, what you didn't plant, because it go back to Genesis 9 when it say Noah became to be a husbandman and he planted a vineyard. And Hamashiach say, my father is the husbandman and I am the true vine. You understand what I'm telling you? With oil of olive, which you didn't plant, which is the Ruach HaKodesh, which y'all gave to them that obey him. Y'all understand what I'm saying? See, y'all didn't even sit back and realize somebody said an inheritance, but you didn't realize that that was talking about the inheritance in the heavens or eternal life. Y'all understand what I'm saying? We don't have time to go in great detail right now because we winding down. I got to get out of here. See what I can do with that to show you winding down. Thank the Lord. I worked that in with showing you how the Lord is a hustler. Because the Lord came out here and put in the work and everything you need to be successful in your business, I got it to give it to you. You understand what I'm saying? You ain't got to do nothing but believe and obey. Believe and obey. Matter of fact, praise ye Yah for Yahushua HaMashiach and for the word. That's good right there. We'll start right there.